President Tinubu and top government officials witness special Independence Anniversary Parade and change of guard at the State House.
Every reform comes with its challenges. Ours is not an exception. We do hope that Nigerians will, at the end of the day, see the fruit of their labor.
Speaker Tajuddin Abbas celebrates Nigeria's independence anniversary and birthday with IDPs in Kabusa, Abuja.
To believe in working school and enrolling their own children in public schools.
Unidentified group bulgarized and reduced to ashes newly completed duplex housing joint admissions and matriculation board JAM mega computer based test CBT center in Mbano, Imo State.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall review the just concluded 79th session of United Nations General Assembly, UNGA, in New York.
Well, Claire, happy 64th Independence Anniversary.
I know you just want to make me laugh.
You look gorgeous yesterday, actually.
Oh, in my Unity fabric.
Yes.
Oh, yes. It was really applauded by almost everyone who saw it. Yes. And it came out very fine.
Very sweet.
Very fine. Fantastic idea by the First Lady, indeed. We must say. Yes. I wish we could continue. I wish it could become our uniform. Anyway,
all right, let's
begin.
just start. The Nigeria contingent to the 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly, UNGA, is back in the country after Vice President Kashim Shettima represented President Bola Tinubu.
Of course, during the debate that ensued, our own Vice President Kashim Shettima emphasized key major issues, including multilateralism, of course, engaging in deeper relationship with member states, and this, of course, he says, should be based on the principles of equity, inclusivity, and cooperation, which are, the basic features or principles upon which, the institution, is hinged on.
Yeah, it is. And President Tinubu also called for world leaders to prioritize debt forgiveness for Nigeria and other developing countries from creditors and multilateral financial institutions.
And one of the key decisions taken at that event was Nigeria's commitment to strengthen its relationship, between international partners as well as members of the OACPs, that's the Organization of African, Caribbean, and Pacific States.
Vice President Shettima engaged in bilateral meetings and sideline events, promoting Nigeria's interests and fostering cooperation with other nations.
Now, remember that Nigeria is signatory to the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. So it demonstrated its commitment to achieving those goals, of course, are based on the country's priority areas and also advancing progress towards global development. And one way to do that is by engaging world leaders and international organizations. Nigeria sought to address pressing national concerns and promote solidarity among the OACP's member states.
So welcome to Good Morning Nigeria, where we will be reviewing the just concluded 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York. The past week was full of high-stakes discussions and critical meetings among world leaders, focusing on pressing global challenges such as climate change, poverty, inequality, and antimicrobial resistance. That word is tongue-twisting.
Actually, from September, the 22nd to the 28th, the UN headquarters, hosted the summit, which was tagged Summit of the Future, the SDG moment, the general debate, and of course several other high-level meetings, including those on a sea level rise, microbial, that's what you were speaking, antimicrobial resistance, and total elimination of nuclear weapons.
Well, these gatherings brought together heads of state and government, ministers and experts to explore solutions to intertwined global challenges and advance peace, security and sustainable development.
So some of the key takeaways we've already enumerated from UNGA, of course, the 79th edition of UNGA. But again, let me just recap. Renewed commitment to SDGs, enhanced international cooperation, addressing antimicrobial resistance, multilateralism, and of course, cooperation.
So today, we shall focus on the key outcomes, successes, and challenges of the 79th session of UNGA. We'll also examine the implications of these discussions for global progress and what they mean for Nigeria and the African continent. I am Ademola Adeoye.
Demola, this is also very, crucial, considering, of course, that we've just celebrated our 64th, an anniversary, and the position that the president, of course, is trying to chart the country into. So the issues that arise from, UNGA are very critical to our future, and also inspiring our future leaders, which was the theme, central theme of the 64th anniversary.
Which is honoring the
yes,
past?
actually reflecting the past and inspiring the future. That's what it was.
Oh,
Yes.
I thought it's honoring the past,
It's actually
inspiring the future.
well, whichever way, honoring the past, reflecting the past. I think
Okay.
it's very important. I am Claire Adelabu Abdurrazak, and I join Demola in welcoming you to the program. Once again, we are live on the network service of the NTA. Chukudi Ukudibwaja will be joining us in a short while. But for now, here is Mina Daniels to give us highlights of the morning news. Hello, Mina.
Good morning, Claire, and Demola. Good morning, Nigeria. Here is the morning news. Even though the government opted for a low-key celebration, the Presidential Guards Brigade added colors to the 64th independence anniversary of Nigeria with their parade. President Bola Tinubu was part of the special parade and change of guard at the State House.
The president is aware that Nigeria is passing through a very challenging time, but he also knows that we need to do this necessary sacrifice for Nigeria to progress. Every reform comes with its challenges. Ours is not an exception. We do hope that Nigerians will, at the end of the day, see the fruit of their labor.
And he left no one in doubt in that speech about his belief in Nigeria.
October 1st was a double celebration for Speaker, House of Representatives Tajuddin Abbas, as he turned 59 while the nation marks its 64th independence anniversary. The Speaker celebrated in a unique way with students of public secondary schools in the FCT and internally displaced persons in Kabusa camp in the nation's capital.
Leaders should encourage themselves to believe in public school by enrolling their own children in public schools. That way, they will create more interest. That way, they will ensure that whatever is needed to improve the system is given.
And in line with its mandate in promoting good courses, especially through various interventions to Nigerians, the National Lottery Trust Fund has extended its gesture to internally displaced persons in the FCT to commemorate Nigeria's 64th Independence Day anniversary. The agency expressed federal government's commitment to the plight of vulnerable population across the country.
This God that will give you this mind, He will continue give you the strength and help some IDPs and help some less privileged.
As a nation, we have memorable moments, we have low moments. In moments like this, we should reach out to the vulnerables, the IDPs, the less privileged,
The Commercial Federal Safety Corps, Sheikh Mohammed, has applauded the rescue team of the Corps who successfully recovered the sum of 8,620,000 naira only during a rescue operation that was carried out at the scene of a road traffic crash in Area G, Samaru, along Zaria-Funtua Road, Kaduna State. From the report of the rescue operations conducted, a Ford pickup belonging to Nigerian Army was moving towards Funtua when a red Toyota Corolla en route Zaria, whose driver was confirmed to be speeding against legal speed limit on that route, lost control and crashed into the Ford pickup. Out of the 3 people involved in the crash, 2 of the victims sustained various degrees of injury, while the remaining victim was rescued without injury. The Corps Marshal Sheikh Mohammed, however, implored the operatives to always sustain the integrity that the Corps is known for and the legacy of its founding fathers. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, deeply regrets to announce that its newly completed complex housing a mega computer-based test CBT center in Mbano, Imo State, has been burglarized and reduced to ashes by unidentified group. This unfortunate incident has been promptly reported to the relevant security agencies. The CBT Center was recently equipped with 275 high-capacity computers with plans for a second hall to accommodate an additional 275 computers, enabling 500 candidates to sit for the board's Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, UTME, simultaneously. This initiative was designed to alleviate the challenges faced by candidates in the town and its surrounding areas in its unwavering commitment to expand educational infrastructure nationwide for the annual CBT examinations. The board identified Mbano as a crucial location for such a mega center, alongside similar initiatives in other regions. This distressing incident starkly contrasts with our aspirations to enhance educational opportunities for aspiring candidates. And those are the highlights of the news at this time. Good Morning Nigeria continues with Ademola and Claire after the commercial break. Please don't go away.
Nigeria is at the threshold of another milestone in its history as the country is set for the celebration of its 64th independence anniversary on the 1st of October. This year's celebration with the theme, Nigeria at 64, reflecting on the past, inspiring the future, affords the country the chance to reflect on the journey of nationhood and assess the task of nation building.
There's hardship, but how did we get here?
As this year's celebration coincides with the country's 25 years of unbroken democracy, the task of engendering an inclusive governance that caters for every segment, especially the youth, is now.
We've sustained 25 years of democracy this year. We don't want to keep the people hungry and angry.
Nigeria at 64, reflecting on the past, inspiring the future.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we swear in colors, with undying deeper, we make solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Ethnicity is unique, we have more than destination.
We are Nigeria, strengthening unity, we know they carry life. We are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
A new edition of TV Guide is out.
This time, we got up close and personal with the transformational legislator,
the Deputy President of the Senate, distinguished Senator Barrel Jibrin.
It created a difference in terms of representation through interventions that have brought an unprecedented infrastructural development to my area.
This edition is a compendium of mind-blowing stories for your reading pleasure, ranging from technology, entertainment, economy, media, politics, family, and lots more.
It is indeed a park of excitement as we take you through every aspect of life. Pick up your copy and get abreast with issues and trending features within our space.
TV Guide, very incisive, very educative and compelling. Grab a copy at the vendor near you or any NTA station nationwide. TV Guide, your indispensable companion.
You have to move from the point where you protect and defend your religion to a point where you also recognize the rights of the other person, of the other religion, and protect it. So if I am protecting my own territory and my own people and trying to emphasize their rights and protect their rights, I should also be thinking about how to protect the rights of the others.
Both Islam and Christianity recognize and defer to God, and both recognize the temporariness of the life of this world, and that ultimately we all go back to God for the day of reckoning, when everybody will render an account of his life on this temporary abode.
The race to qualify for the biggest football competition in Africa is on. The 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. 48 teams in 12 groups, with only the top 2 teams in each group qualifying for the African Cup of Nations in 2025 in Morocco. Don't miss the action, suspense and unrivaled coverage on AfroSport TV and its affiliates partners across Nigeria, starting from September 2024 to November 2024. AfroSport, your freedom of sport.
Thanks for staying with us. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. It's now time for newspaper review. Stay with us.
And Chukwudi Kudubaja is right here with us. Let's welcome him. Chukwudi, good morning.
Yeah, how are you doing? Good morning.
I could do with some rest. Yesterday was quite...
But you look so crisp, happy, and of course smiling. What your lips say, I'm not...
I know what my body says.
It's not what your general, profile is telling us.
Well, what your lips says comes from your heart.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what it says, that from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks.
Actually, part of our job is to make them believe.
It's to mask how you feel.
We don't want to know your mother just died before you came into the studio.
You mask how you feel.
If you got to know 5 minutes before reading that news, we don't want to know your mom died. Make believe.
Yes. Yes.
So you're welcome.
Bless you. How are you doing?
Great.
Yes. And,
good morning.
I'm sure it's not late now to, of course, wish us. I wasn't here yesterday.
Okay.
You went here
yesterday. You are not part of the... She didn't hear my song yesterday. Better days are coming by and by.
I was watching you.
Don't you be downhearted. Don't you? That was what encapsulated President Tinubu's speech yesterday. Hope is everything.
Have you ever been in the choir before?
I sang tenor in Baptist choir. Precious Savior, I will pray. Oh, please, let's not.
You didn't hear my
national broadcast.
You didn't hear my own yesterday.
What did you do?
Nigeria is 64. The odds we did survive.
Remember,
that's the green, white, green lady. Yeah. That's the patriotic one. Yeah, I like that. I like that.
But of course, we must give credit. We must give credit to Big Papa Bongo Zikwe.
Yeah,
he came up with another beautiful one, but I don't think it's.
He always has a beautiful one. Yes.
All right, let's go to the papers.
Let's go.
Anyway, we are actually reflecting the past.
No,
and honoring them.
It's part of making our viewer happy.
Yes.
Art drives television.
Okay, so let me quickly start with leadership. And leadership is leading with mixed reactions. Trail Tinubu's independence broadcast. Well, of course, there will be those who will have their own views about things. Yeah. You know, fearless in October, protests poor in states. Okay, fearless in October, protest poor in states. So let me read it correctly. So I don't give it a different meaning.
That's the title they get. The other one was End Hunger.
Yes.
And this one is Fearless in October. I'll talk about it.
Protesters converge on Lagos, Abuja amid tight security. Youths shun action in North Host Solidarity March. We took proactive measures against looters. Please. Okay? And of course, I wanted to say the celebrants, but we are all celebrants. Yes. We are all celebrants. Yes, that's the picture story. I was going to speak to the picture story there. Of course, where we see the president, the first lady of the country, wife of the vice president, the vice president, president of the Senate. You understand the leadership of this great country, you know, cutting the birthday cake. And, you know, it's right there. I don't want to go on mention. There are quite a number of dignitaries, including, of course, the newly sworn in Chief Justice of Nigeria. She's also there. And the beautiful wife of the Chief of Staff is also in front there. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation. So let me not miss protocol. Chukudi, you know, when you go for MCs and you miss an aspect of the protocol,
that is
someone looks at you like that.
That is where my underbelly is exposed. You know, this journalist. Protocol.
Okay. Uncertainty over Naira for crude policy. As FG fails to release guideline, there are other trending stories, but I didn't steal Kaduna money. I will swear with Quran, Rufai. And PDP is not one man's enterprise. That's according to the governors. Let me quickly move on to the blueprint. The blueprint says, Tinubu's 30-day confab excites youth council and Ndibo, APC, others as well. Yesterday, yes, the youths were all, you know, picking on that aspect of the president's broadcast and speaking to it. That's the National Youth Council's meeting. I'm sure you will also speak to that. So, but that story comes with quite 1, 2, 3 riders there. Now, WHO targets 2.5 million Borno children for third polio immunization, and I think this is also very critical. Yes. Now, yes, meet our demands in 14 days to preserve peace. Also, again, tells federal government, that's topmost on the blueprint headliner there. And then, which other story is trending? Okay, the same picture story of the cutting of the birthday cake. I am ready to swear I didn't steal as Kaduna governor. Again, El-Rufai, another version coming from the blueprint. Demola, you've
okay,
got one
I
paper.
have this Nigeria newspaper. Just beside the nameplate. Let's stand together for peace, development of FCT, Wike in Independence message. The details can be found on page 6. Insecurity, we are winning the war, says Tinubu. In under 1 year, over 300 Boko Haram bandits commanders eliminated. President reveals pleads for patience, says Nigeria is work in progress to invoke 30-day youth confab. The details can be found on page 2 and 4. Diversify Nigeria's revenue sources. LCCI tells federal government. FCTA gives 2-week ultimatum for regularization of documents. Details on page 6, 9, and 56. Subsidy remover, importation of petrol drops by 3.58 billion liters. That's good news.
Wonderful news, Demola. Wonderful news.
At least our foreign exchange will
Thank you. The pressure on the naira, on the naira,
Yeah.
will reduce because not too much of it will now be chasing just $1.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It is.
And it drops off.
So that's
on
the advantage
prices
of
later,
these local
because
production
those things
now.
we import. If we now are not faced with you go kill person before you get dollar, those things will come cheaper.
Yeah.
And people will be happier
And
at the end of the day.
will
It's a good
appreciate,
one.
you know?
That was why I didn't quite like when I read that the takeoff of the naira crude oil
exchange.
in naira is an investigation anyway. It's not attributed as a story. So let's be careful. They say it has not taken off. Please, the earlier it takes off, the better, because it's going to help what you just mentioned.
Yeah.
You know, that is the reason for the increase in the foreign reserve, which was part of Mr. President. I'm actually looking at it. There it is now. You know, it says, you know, the president said we inherited a reserve of over 33 billion 16 months ago. Since then, we have paid back the inherited forex backlog of 7 billion. We have cleared ways and means debt of over 30 trillion. We have reduced debt service ratio from 97% to 68%. Despite all of these, we have managed to keep our foreign reserve at 37 billion.
You know,
so
Claire,
this is actually
my problem is I don't know when to speak from the mind and when to speak from the heart because they are two different things. Let me step away from analysis. Chukudi keeps telling you this administration knows where it is going. I'm not saying it to make anyone happy. A journalist does not talk to make you happy, because before you know it, he also returns to criticism. That's the way he is. But this administration, this government is competent. Let me stop there, please.
There's again, I will reference Bongo Sikwe. Nothing good comes easy. You don't sow today and then expect to reap the following day. Everything is a process.
Takes time.
It takes
it's
time.
Taking so long to take us down.
Yes, but we can also empathize with Nigerians, because it has come, I mean, it's a situation that has...
Their pain is real.
Yes.
And we must empathize with them.
Yes.
Otherwise, we stop being human.
Precisely.
But when you are empathizing with people, you'll also say that, what did I say yesterday? Hope is what you get drunk on when there's no alcohol around. Without hope, life dies. Forget that you belevu today.
Me, I want
to... There's hope.
Yes,
hope is everything.
I want to talk about...
It's an elixir.
Chukudi, I want us to
we don't
talk
have
about,
much time,
yes,
so that you can...
Yes, I want us to talk about the parade yesterday and the significance of that parade yesterday, even though it was part of analysis during the... But you see, a lot of us don't understand when we do watch, you know, the military parade at Independence. Yes. What that signifies and what it should, the emotions it should elicit from us. While watching, you know, the parade, I noticed the solemnity of that event. I noticed, you know, the discipline with which the members of the armed forces carried out their activity, the precision, you know, and it gives me the chills. I don't know if anybody...
We are reinventing so many things. Those of us who are in communication skills, communication is everything, really. After attitude, you know, attitude is everything. What you saw there was a projection, a demonstration of Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. The lyrics of that song. I am happy
powerful.
My children are beginning to tell me.
It's powerful.
Daddy, this song has things in it.
Yes.
Too. That is the point.
It's very powerful. It's very powerful. And each time I recite this national anthem, even before it was brought back, you know, it made
never left me.
Sense of...
It never left me.
Yes.
I had a nostalgia.
That's why they say words are powerful.
Yes.
Words are powerful.
My people have a saying that Otano can see. Criticism, you know, rabid criticism is worse than poison. Mind what you say to your neighbor.
And I just want us to you see the second lyric of the stanza is usually taken in very reduced, voice tone, not at the same.
Actually, when you hear musicologists, when you hear choir masters do Nigeria Will Hail Thee, you go to another level of appreciation.
Yes, because when they tell you, Nigeria, we hail
so the high note there. That's it. Why did they not take her away from you? She could have done well in music. Anyway, the polio initiative in the north, yes, and we applaud it. Okay. We have no business having in this century things that have been kicked out. There was an MTA promo then. Is it make we kick polio come off our country? Was it polio? I think I'm mixing it. Okay. You know, NTA and Ray Michael Nwachukwu, you held the sway in terms of adverts that made people want to watch TV forever.
Promo and all that.
Promo.
This
talents of NTA.
The rhythm reminded me of another one. When you say police is your friend, there's another one. Make una call police, yo. Make una call police, yo. Make una call police, yo. Look at all these oldies.
You know what? I'm a robber. I got into trouble in Benin. A policeman, and they face for West Circular for Benin. So instead of make una call police, yo, the policeman, make una call police, yo. Make una call Papo's house, so the man rushed out. Not me that they do song. That deal.
Call police, you.
It was, look, it was. Let's return those days now.
Anyway, over to you. Maybe we need another Ray Mike Nwachukwu.
It was great.
Yes, it was very great.
It was great.
Are we done?
Yes, we are done with this segment. Thanks for coming, Chuck.
Always making this.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Great breakfast any day.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll take a break now. Good Morning Nigeria continues. Stay with us.
The federal government of Nigeria warns vandals of national assets, electricity transmission towers, cables, and other facilities to desist from this act of sabotage. Vandalism is a serious crime punishable under the law. Vandalizing electrical equipments will affect millions of Nigerians, including your loved ones. Remember that national assets belong to all of us, hence the need to protect them. Report all cases of suspicious movement around electrical facilities to security agencies. When you see something, say something. This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation in collaboration with the National Counter-Terrorism Center, NCTC, Office of the National Security Advisor.
Can you flex your vocals for us?
It will.
It could be one of your songs, by the way.
People fall in love in mysterious way.
So why did they call you Evil Child?
They called me that when I was in school. That was my nickname then in school.
Any reason in particular why they called you Evil Child?
Yeah, because I was actually one of the brilliant students.
Oh, mommy! That answer right there. You must be, if it's not this board, problem. That means the people that answer this survey, they have body odor. Hey.
NTA Television College Jos, with a pedigree of producing indelible professionals in the media space and an affiliate of the prestigious Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, for the award of degree in mass communication, calls on prospective candidates to leverage on the following courses it offers for 2024-2025 academic session. BSc Mass Communication, those with minimum admissible score of 180 and above who sat for the 2024 JAM/UTME and direct entry, while 100 to 179 minimum admissible score can apply for the National Innovation Diploma NID in Film and Television Production, Broadcast Journalism and Television Engineering. For more inquiries, visit our website or call 0803 383 4343. Announcer, Registrar.
The Council of Our Fathers.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
You know the geography of Nigeria. But we're not a nation. A nation is a group of people with a shared vision. In many states of the Federation, with a few exceptions, we have only 2 tiers of government. The local government is completely gone.
Insightful, thought-provoking, and engaging.
Those countries that we go to buy refined petroleum products, or technically what we call distillates, are we saying their economic and political leaders are fools?
What you see that is happening in the urban area is not happening in the rural area. There's no balance, there's no holistic or concerted approach to development.
Every development is local. Every underdevelopment is also local. I think what we need is to promote national development.
Good Morning Nigeria, the Nigerian Television Authority's flagship program, brings you all you need to know on current national issues that affect you. With expert analysis from professionals from all fields of endeavor, Good Morning Nigeria is your daily tonic of accurate, fact-based and intellectual discussions on issues that matter to you. Airing every weekday live between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. on the network service of the NTA. Repeat broadcasts at 5 p.m. daily on Nta News24. Don't be left out. You can join us by tuning in to Nta News24.
All right, welcome to Good Morning Nigeria. Once again, if you've just joined us, and it's live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Just to remind you, our conversation this morning is a review of the 79th Anga, and not just reviewing Anga, of course, applying it to our 64th independence anniversary. And of course, we'll be engaging our guests. But first, let's listen to our background report put together by our correspondent, Yemi Ajayi.
The United Nations General Assembly is known to be one of the 6 principal organs of the United Nations, with purpose of deliberation, policy making and representation. Its powers, composition, functions and procedures are set out in Chapter 4 of the United Nations Charter. It is the only UN organ where all member states have equal representation, including Nigeria, with an annual meeting for proper deliberation. The 2024 UNGA, which is the 79th, is not in any way different, with world leaders and international organizations in full attendance, bringing to the table different issues of concern. The theme for the meeting was Leaving No One Behind, acting together for the advancement of peace, sustainable development and human dignity for present and future generations. The Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who was represented by his vice, Senator Kashim Shettima, at the meeting, had his voice heard loud and clear, with different issues, suggestions and proposals presented on the table. Nigeria, in President Tinubu's address at the Assembly, had called for debt forgiveness for Africa and other developing countries. He had asked the United Nations to prioritize debt forgiveness for Nigeria and other developing countries from creditors and multilateral financial institutions. Nigerian government stressed the urgent need for a United Nations Framework Convention on international tax cooperation to support economic development in Africa, aside reaffirming its commitment to fostering stronger international partnerships and deepening relations with member states of the Organization of Africa, Caribbean and Pacific States. The 17 Sustainable Development Goals, as well as other pressing challenges such as climate change, poverty and inequality, and how best to tackle the impacts of ongoing conflicts and global health crises, were as well addressed at the 79th UNGA. With a series of sideline meetings and agreements, there were opportunities to woo investors to increase or boost foreign investments in Nigeria. It was also an opportunity for Nigeria to present its call for being included at the United Nations Security Council permanent seat. Israel and Palestine, as well as the recent escalation in Lebanon, featured prominently as members called for peace. There was also the farewell celebration to the Biden family, as the 79th UNGA was the last President Joe Biden will be working in that capacity. Now, the week-long UNGA could have come and gone. What are the takeaways and what lessons can be said to have been learned? What makes this year's meeting different? Will most of the agreements be implemented? Will the plea for debt forgiveness be considered? Our guests will be answering these questions and more shortly.
Thank you, Yemi Ajayi, for that background report. And our guest, we have one of our guests in the studio this morning. The others are still being expected.
Yeah.
So let me just quickly.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah.
I think we should even mention, because we're expecting.
The Minister of Minister of Art and Culture and Creative Economy, and also the other guests. But here we have Stanley Uokocha.
No.
Is the Senior Special Assistant to the President of Media and Communications Office of the Vice President. Stanley, you're welcome.
Thank you, Demola. Claire, how are you doing?
Very well.
Morning.
And maybe we should start off by wishing ourselves,
happy 64th.
Yes,
64th. Of course, we do deserve it, taking into cognizance where we've come from. We're not where we are supposed to be, but at the same time, too, we're not where we were. It's been steady progress, steady progress. And then luckily for us, we have a president like none before, who is committed, institutional changes like we've never had it coming before. And by the special grace of God, in no long time, we'll definitely get there, given the commitment and vibrancy and thoughtfulness that this president is bringing on board for all Nigerians.
Go ahead. I mean, from what the president said yesterday, there is hope, actually, and actually is appealing to Nigerians to at least, still bear with the government, as government is taking the right policies, the right steps to make things easier for the people.
Exactly. You can see inflation is going down while GDP is increasing. And these are pointers to the fact that, look, these economic policies are the right ones and clearly been set on the right footing. But beyond that, too, is what the president said yesterday, that he feels the impact of some of our policies on Nigerians. He connects with them. He's in tune with Nigerians. And I've been opportuned as an individual to be in meetings that the president has presided and the vice president has presided. And I say with all sense of humility that if you're in such meetings and you see the level of devotion, the thoughtfulness, the nationalism, the heart that the president brings into such meetings, you definitely know that, look, the policies are right. He has everything at his grasp, and it's just a matter of time. We'll definitely get there.
Each broadcast, Mr. President, has made, and I just want to draw this out. He's been consistent with, the use of empathy. Yeah, exactly. He's always shown. In fact, he starts by empathizing with the, pains and challenges and struggles that Nigerians are going. And there's something we just acknowledged, the power in emotive words, and the ability of such words to change orientation.
With the Nigerian out there. I totally do agree with you, Claire.
Yes.
Sometimes, like they say, it's not about the big dramas. When you speak to the ordinary Nigerian, one thing that endears him to you is your ability to feel his impulse, to feel what he feels, and definitely. This president totally feels it. This president is committed to salvaging Nigeria from what he met on ground. And clearly, one of the things that make nations great is not, it's about strong institutions.
Yeah.
Right? You might have the best of laws, you might have the best of humans, but if you do not have strong and vibrant institutions, everything crumbles and crashes. And that is what this president is committed to building. And you could see it in all his devotion, in all his economic policies, is about building from the scratch, making our institutions very, very vibrant. Because when you make our institutions vibrant, it resonates in the development of human capital. And then human capital ultimately drives national projection and growth. And that is what this president is committed to do, and that is what he's achieving.
Yeah, just like he said yesterday, he said we are moving ahead with our fiscal policy reforms to stimulate our productive capacity and create more jobs and prosperity. The FEC, that Federal Executive Council, has also approved economic stabilization bills, which will now be transmitted to the National Assembly.
He feels the pulse. Nobody ever expected that, given the population of Nigeria, that you could bring the student loan scheme, for instance, and that's just one, you understand. And the poor man's son can actually go to school. So long as you have the will, you have the determination,
yeah,
there is an opportunity for you to go to school. And if you know the eye for here, I mean, I guess you never heard of an Unquocha before. It's just with a little opportunity my parents gave me to go to school that's brought me where I am. I never expected that I would be speaking for the government and presidency. So you could see the power of education, and Mr. President recognizes this. And here we are, you know, giving each and every Nigerian child the opportunity to go to school. To me, there's none like that. And if you take into cognizance that it is historical, never done before, I guess this president deserves a whole lot of
talked
accolades.
about education, because I was just also going to follow up with your question, but you just touched on education, and there are two initiatives that the president, you know, I'm sure there are others, but this particular one, I was just talking about it yesterday. The students' loan fund.
Yeah.
It's very fundamental.
Very, very.
And I've had conversations with, you know, some students in the tertiary institutions, even though some of them are yet to, those who applied are yet to get, you know, the institutions are yet to get. But the hope, it gives them, and the enthusiasm I see amongst those students is quite encouraging.
Yeah.
That will tell you that a lot of students are in their need of such financial assistance and support, and that this coming in, you know, will be quite handy. The second one, again,
and also, you say, to show the sincerity of government, he picked the person that he picked to oversee
this Sawyer, Akintide Sawyer.
Yeah, the disbursements of the loan.
Yeah.
It's not Ovia or something like that.
No. Akintide
Sawyer.
Akintide Sawyer is the MD of
the MD.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the second one is the CNG buses given to, you know, the body of students,
and also to the labor as well.
Yeah. Yes, but I'm just about the students.
The students,
yes,
okay.
You know, because the youths now, you know, really are eager. They're eager to, you know, be part of governance. To participate in that process. So if you're able to make the process seamless for them, and giving them bus to, you know, alleviate the cost of transportation, it goes a long way.
It goes a long way, Claire.
Yes.
Claire, you know, sometimes what you need in life are not the biggest and finest of luxuries. What you need are the small things that just give you that small push and then allow you to compete with your peers. Now imagine that you're so brilliant. You know, I give you a story once like that. So while we were in secondary school, there was this very poor boy, but again, he was about the most vibrant in the class. But his parents were nowhere, you know. So he used to jump in this, what you call 911, gongoro, you know, to come to school every day. And then sometimes what you would do, gongoro, the trucker, 911.
Gongoro, okay.
Yeah.
You don't know
which one is gongoro?
Oh, no. That 911.
So is this long truck that used in ferrying goods from one state to another. So they usually park, because he was from a little mining community, so they usually ferry some of them, you know, in that to and fro every blessed day. And that's, of course, what his mates would use to throw jabs at him is the fact that you that climbs Gongoro every morning, it hurts him. But guess what? By the time we finish, this boy made 9 A's. You understand? He made 9 A's and then got admission to read pharmacy. As I speak to you today, he's one of the best pharmacists you could have around, and he's made it. He has his own pharmaceutical company. So what am I saying in a sense? It's just a little push you need, the little push you need in life, that educational awareness, that it might be a struggle, it might be painful at some point in time, But without push, that's all. And then if you have a president that's aware of this, that resonates with this, that's in touch, that's in tune with this, and then you find out that, look, he recognizes the power of education. That, look, the power of education enables the son of a no man to reach his heights and dreams and tops. It definitely means that, look, this president has it right, and by the special grace of God, it's just for all of us to support him, and we'll get there. Yes, we're having challenges. He has not shied away from it. He's faced it head on for each and every challenge. He has the requisite solutions that he's bringing on board, and then that is what we think. And then you have a vice president too, who is very vibrant, very loyal, very supportive of Mr. President, believes in the present policies, goes all the way to ensure that, look, he succeeds in every assignment given. That to me is phenomenal.
You know, one other issue again that I wanted us to talk about, you know, emanating from the president's broadcast yesterday, is the fact that he said, if we do not correct the, you know, fiscal misalignment that brought us into this economic downturn,
we will never make
it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we were on set when the lady from the Central Bank of Nigeria also talked about the need for monetary and fiscal policies, you know, to align. And that's why they have been, you know, increasing. You know, I was wondering, I said, look, if headline inflation had come down, you know, so why increasing all your monetary rates?
You know, they have to tally. You must have a point of equilibrium. You must have a point of for focus where you have everything aligned. Otherwise, if you get the wrong mix, if you get the right mix wrong, and the implementation becomes a problem. So it's about the right mix, the right implementation. And that's just what they're doing, you know. So it's actually we're on course.
But for you, what was
the president also demonstrated the fact that this government is committed to transparency and accountability by saying that they are going to ensure that the Supreme Court judgment on the autonomy of the local government is implemented. You know,
that attracted heated conversation yesterday.
It did.
The autonomy of the local government.
And if you ask me, it's a master stroke. But beyond the independence being brought to the local government administration and funding, for me, it's about the vision of this president to spot that, look, that under the Constitution, local government has full autonomy. When did we get our independence? Since 1960, right?
Yeah.
And have local governments not been in existence since then? So what has hindered their progress, whether financially, democratically, or otherwise? But you had a president that upon resumption looked at the books, giving his own vision, and said, look, the best way for us to go is to grant full autonomy for local government. And don't forget the fact that he has been a governor, he has been a senator, and so he didn't need to do much. All he needed to do was just approach the Supreme Court and bingo.
Stanley, let's not even go there, because yesterday the professionals, you know, that we had on our program didn't quite agree. In fact, they didn't quite agree. Professor Mato.
Let's just pause. Let me introduce the minister has come to join us. The minister, the Honorable Minister of Art and Culture and Creative Economy, Barrister Hannatu Musawa. You are welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Good morning, Prof. Good morning, my sister. I'm sorry I came in slightly late.
It's okay, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Happy Independence.
Good morning, Mr. Stanley. Happy Independence to you all.
So we're just talking about the president's speech yesterday, and we're just talking about the local government autonomy, the commitment of this government to ensure transparency and accountability at the different levels of governance, and also to make sure that at least the grassroots are also involved, you know, in governance, to bringing back the local government.
You know, Demola, what is even more striking is that, like, if you dissect that particular decision, it's not about Mr. President. It's not for his own benefit.
Yeah.
I mean, he could just decide to just turn on the eye. Yeah. But look, he understands that for him to succeed as president, It has to be a generic movement, a generic progress, starting from the grassroots. And how do you do this
Actually,
best?
governance starts from the grassroots.
Exactly.
Actually,
And so you just must give it to this
well,
president.
we all belong to a local government.
Yes,
actually.
well, it's good for the local governments to have the autonomy. But there are also critical technical aspects, you understand, that needs to also be addressed. And one of the issues was, how do you now conduct elections and that who superintends, the process? Is it states independent electoral commissions? But that's not what we're here.
I understand where Claire
yes.
said it. Usually when you have elections in a PDP state, it's 31/31. You come to an APC state, 31/31. You come to an Abga state. So I understand, but then again, we'll definitely proceed with too late. I think yes, I totally agree with you. The argument is the argument is that should be brought to the responsibility of the electoral body at the center, or should states. But unfortunately for us, at this moment, the law is the law.
The law is the law.
Allows the
honestly. So let's bring in the Honourable
elections.
Minister to also weigh in our conversation. Once again, happy 64th independence anniversary. Yesterday when I started, I said I was 64, and I didn't hear. By the time I left the studio, people were calling me, "Chloe, how old did you say you were?" I said, "You see, you just heard I am 64. You didn't hear the other part of it." What was the main thing for you in the president's speech yesterday?
Honestly, again, thank you for having me. The main thing for me in the president's speech was really this hope. I, as a Nigerian, we talk about the issue of renewed hope. And it's not because I'm working with Mr. President, with Mr. Vice President. It's because I see a duo and I see a leadership that really is looking at what they will bequeath for the future. You're talking about local government autonomy. In order to make great decisions, you have to make very difficult decisions. Nigeria at the age of 64 has been through a number of challenges. It has become almost a woven situation whereby you have to really take things apart in order to put them back together again. For us to be able to do that, you have to make very difficult decisions. And sometimes these decisions don't appear perfect in the very time that they're being made. But you just have to have the courage to make those decisions in the long-term sustainability or long-term interest, specifically for the next generation. And in everything that the president said, I felt the energy that he was making a long-term decision. He wasn't doing things that would satisfy people right there and then. He's very long-sighted in everything he does. He's very meticulous in everything, every process. He's looking at what he will leave in long-term. This is a man that has spent the best part of his life really preparing for himself for this this service to Nigeria. This is a man that has thought long and hard as to what needs to be done. This is a man who has watched a Nigeria go from one disaster to another disaster, decisions being made to satisfy immediate needs, but that are creating more problems. Yes, we talk about the issue of local government autonomy, and it's not a perfect solution in that, as you say, who takes care of elections. But, we have to make a decision as people as to what we want.
Okay.
Do we want to have a leadership that makes decisions that will satisfy us in the immediate? Or do we want a leadership that is going to look at how they can really solve the problem of Nigeria and the problem of Nigerians for the future generation of Nigerians? A lot of things that have happened to this country from 1960 through these 64 years. Decisions and actions have been taken by leaders that have led us to where we are. We did not wake up as an administration and just decide, let us bring the food prices down. A number of calamities and decisions have been taken, as I said, and calamities have happened that have created this weave of very unfortunate events that we met when we came into government. So we have, again, as I said, a leadership that is ready to take the courageous decisions. And I say this with every sense of responsibility.
Very decisive decision.
The courageous and decisive. It's not a president that wants to be popular. This is a president that wants to be effective and a president that wants to do something in the best interest of Nigeria, with the ultimate best interest that ultimately that's what he's looking for. And in his speech, that is what I've seen. And even in his speech, you know, he did a lot. You know, sometimes Nigerians, I think what we are as a people, to be honest, we are a traumatized society. We are a society that have come out of a lot of trauma. This trauma has come from bad leadership in the past. It has come from our lack of understanding of who we are as a people. This diversity that we talk of, that we know is a strength, this diversity has been used in a way that has completely jaundiced our views. So when you have a leadership that comes from a certain part of the country, everything that they say, another set of people from another side of the country view it through another set of, you know, it already comes dead on arrival because you view it separately. This culminates from the trauma that we have come through, right?
You know, I always, Demola, you know, I always reference my growing up in Lagos.
Right.
And like I said yesterday, I'm a beneficiary, I'm a proud beneficiary of the efforts of our heroes past. I remember in those days they used to call us Jack on these children, you know.
Free education.
Yes, you know. And I also remember working in the Ikoyi area of Lagos, and you're not afraid because you had underground, you know, crossways, tunnels that you could, you know. So I those are things, infrastructure that could inspire us, that, you know, that we're aspiring, that again our leaders will, you know, help us to achieve. But that has not been like that.
And that's not the reality now, is it?
Yes.
So you have a leadership that is come on and looking at how he can correct that. And in order to do that, you have to take very difficult, stringent decisions. And this is what I see. And even culminating from his speech, that's basically what I saw. It gave me a sense that this is a man who really is trying to do things differently. The announcement of a youth conference, who ever thought of something like that? I mean,
but what the people are saying is this. Yes, you can take those very tough decisions. After all, they say, you know, tough situations demand tough decisions. But in doing that, don't also give us the opportunity to also exhale.
Let's have a breather.
Yes.
But we're doing that to a certain extent, but it can't be, it's not easy. We're a country of over 200 million people, right? It's very difficult. Like I said, there's insecurity, there's lack of infrastructure, as you've spoken about. There's just a lot of things that we have inherited. So yes, you have to let people to breathe. This is why you have the immediate palliative engagements that you have. You have with the floods, you have the responses, the insecurity. There are things being done, but it's not going to be a perfect solution. As you're making these decisions, it's not going to be pari passu with the immediate emergency relief, because it's just not possible for it to be on par. But as these decisions are being made, measures are being taken to try to approach the immediate needs, like I said, the palliative. But with a country of 200 million, obviously, some people are going to be beneficiaries and some people
because
are
that's
still going to
actually
struggle.
the question. Majority of the people will not actually benefit from the palliatives.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
we know that, just like you said, the policies being churned out by the government is not populist at all, because if you have to go by the populist policy, we will be back to status quo. You understand? But this government, like you said, wants actually to make giant strides, wants to take decision that will be beneficial to us in the future. So, what we must commend the government.
Yes, I just want to
against dwindling resources.
Yes, I just want to draw.
Put that into context.
Yeah, very
especially
dwindling
when you have an explosive population rate. You understand? The highest fund that ever came to government in the history of Nigeria was $35 billion, and this was during Jonathan's administration. From 1960 to date, the highest fund. How much is this government grappling with against sporadic increment in a population? And then again, too, she spoke about natural disasters like flooding. When you're doing some of these, your budgeting and everything, did we expect the Maiduguri situation, for instance? We didn't. But then again, you had Alo down submit.
No, but there was already a provision for flood disaster.
There's the ecological fund.
Yes, apart from the ecological fund, there's also, like we heard, that was revealed on Good Morning Nigeria, that under NEMA, there is
an insurance
for flood disaster.
So Claire, here's the thing. If you prepare for, say, Maiduguri, you prepare for Bayelsa, you prepare for Kogi, would you also prepare for Imo, Cross River, Kaduna, all over? And then how much are these funds against competing needs and demands?
No, we know there are competing needs, Stanley.
Yeah.
But
so these are but give it to the government.
The policies are quite genuine. I mean, they're good policies. Like everyone would always agree. We have very good policies. For instance, in the area of transportation and the subsidy removal. What I feel personally, feeling the pulse of Nigerians, is that, okay, these CNG buses you bring in now, you understand, they could have come before, so that when you take away removal, when you take away the subsidy, that pressure.
The issue of subsidy is a bit of a complex issue. But then again, remember.
Issue of transportation.
Okay, fine. Okay, you are now, so Claire is being smart now. I should not take it down to
yes, because it's all about...
Now, here's the thing. As at when the president took over, if he had expended a dime, it would have been an illegality, because as at when he took over, there was no single provision. So there was nothing he could do. Otherwise, upon assumption of office, he would have gone into the question of illegality and non-legality. So what would he do? So these are some of the issues that Nigerians don't want to see, that the president came in and there was no provision whatsoever in the budget he met on ground. So what would he do? So these are, but then again, you could see too that he's taking his time too. You spoke about the CNG buses. Don't also forget that it takes time for us to remodel these buses to fit into our own targets as part of the CNG, and of course, too, we must also we have a climate change treaty. We must abide by it and everything, and make sure that we're planning. We're not gonna get there overnight, but with the right policies, with the right thought frame, with the right projections, with the right flow of mind, with the right policies, implementation too. It's like when you have your policy evaluation, you understand, you just must have the right policies, and then of course too, before you start getting to the point of evaluation, you must have the right implementation. Otherwise, as beautiful as they might be, the implementation, but here again, it's not as stereotype as you might think. You understand, you just must have the right policies with the right implementation strategy. And believe me,
and the right drivers.
The right drivers.
Because actually, that's the implementation is actually has always been the problem, but not challenges that we have in this country.
Not with this president. Not with this president.
Not with this. Okay, we will see.
Okay. I want to bring.
But there's still time. Let's just start our conversation this morning. All right, so let's just continue the conversation for today, which is the review of the 79th ONGA, right? All right, so we can...
I wanted to ask the Honorable Minister Barrister Musawa, because part of the President's speech was to organize a national youth conference. And I know that the energy, the engine of the creative industry, the drivers of the creative industry are the youths. So how does that make you feel?
I'm absolutely ecstatic about the the National Youth Conference, because I think the youth really do deserve a chance to also register, make their input as to how what they need, or the things that they would want to see in terms of policy output from government. So the youth conference will give them an ability to be able to express themselves in that respect. My ministry, Ministry of Art, Culture and Creative Economy, I think really, they keep on saying is the new oil. I think is better than the new oil, because as I often say, everybody does not have the ability to work in an oil company, right? And every community does not have the ability to benefit directly from, the oil revenue that Nigeria has. I know some communities that don't even know Nigeria is an oil-producing country. But every single human being in Nigeria has the ability to create content in the comfort of their home and their small communities. There's a huge power and resource abound in the creative industry, which up until now has never been explored. Now we talk about a government who is very visionary and forward-thinking. To think that Nigeria is really, at the moment, the global hub of entertainment. Everywhere I go in the world, everybody wants to talk to me about our music. They want to talk about our films, our fashion, our art. That is what Nigerians are known for. So this is a huge resource for Nigeria. And to think that no government in the history of Nigeria, and it's not just now, we've had our Felas, our Shattas from before. So we've always been strong in the area of creative industry. But nobody thought to set up a ministry that really caters to that. When you talk about a government that is visionary and forward-thinking, a government has come in and for the first time in the history of Nigeria has thought about diversifying away from this oil. And we're setting up new ministries: digital economy, blue economy, creative industry, creative economy. This is a government and a president who's extremely, that courageous that we're talking about, but forward-thinking. So he set up this ministry. And, coming into this ministry, I thought, okay, fine, this is a great, exciting ministry. It's very light, it's a happy place. It's not the heavy stuff, it's not maternal mortality, it's not the flood situation. It's music, it's art, it's dancing. But I found a situation where we have to start completely from ground zero, which tells you that no government has done anything about it in the past. So looking at this ministry, and when I spoke to the president, he said to me that he wants this ministry to cater specifically to a younger demographic, because he wants something to bequeath onto this new next generation to empower them. Job creation, he spoke about job creation, and he also spoke about the ability for us to use the industry to see how we can create economic expansion to also contribute to the GDP, increase in the GDP. So what I'm looking at with the youth conference is to see all the different initiatives that we have or we have thought out, a beautiful strategic framework that is really going to add a lot of worth and bring value back from the creative industry into Nigeria, create value for the industry players, which is invariably young people, and bring it back in. I'm also looking to, I spoke to the Minister of State for Youth yesterday, and we were already talking about how we can work together within the conference to see how the youth conference or the ministry can be woven in and impact the young generation, see how we can use these initiatives and the different programs and the different grants we're looking for to see how we can really empower the youth specifically in terms of job creation and just other means of expression.
How do you hope to add value to the First Lady's initiative, the Unity Fabric?
Yes. You know, the Unity Fabric, I'm so proud of the First Lady because, you know, this, again, one would have thought that someone in the past, many administrations we've had, would have thought of, you know, really using this creativity that we have to bring it into, to sort of bring it for unity. And one of the great things about my ministry is it also has the power to create unity among Nigerians, because that's when you talk about the language that everybody understands is within the creative industry. Fabrics, right? Is all part of our fashion. So the Unity Fabric is something that we really want to use to create a sense of identity for the whole of Nigeria. So this Unity Fabric we want to take on the road. And that hopefully the next time I come here, the professor, Mr. Stanley, myself,
Professor.
well, you are now. All of us will be, you know, this Unity Fabric will be something that we look at as part of our identity. When you look at Ghana, they have the kente. Everywhere you go in the world, when you see that, you know, it's a sense of not just Ghanaian pride, it's a sense of African pride. We can recreate that using this Unity Fabric. So I think we're also lucky not only to have a president that is forward-thinking and visionary, we also have a First Lady. I don't think we've ever had a First Lady that is as tenacious and hardworking as our current First Lady. And for her to look at how she can use her position not only to empower farmers, agriculture, to empower people in their communities, but to also use not just her own pet project, but she's also looking at how she can leverage on that to create something that is meaningful for all of Nigeria. So my ministry will work together with her Unity, the First Lady's Unity Fabric, to see how we can recreate a unity among Nigerians, an identity for Nigerians or black people of African descent in the diaspora who will see this fabric as a part of their own identity.
And then let me just add to a very important factor. You know, in some countries, when you look at the average age of some countries, the age is as high as 40 on the average, some 38. As a matter of fact, the country has about 52 years. But guess the average age in Nigeria? 16.9. So what does that tell you? It tells you where the demographic is. It tells you where the concentration should be. It tells you where the force should be. Because if you have a very young and vibrant nation like ours, it tells you that, look, this is where your strength lies, and this is where you must channel a lot of your resources to. And clearly, that's what the Honourable Minister here is doing, and that's what the First Lady is doing. That's where the President's focus is, by organizing the youth focus. So like we did speak earlier on getting the right policies, you know, and then being futuristic. This President has a grasp of issues. This President knows his onions. And clearly, imagine if you have such huge investment on this very young age bracket. Imagine what the outlook or what the results will be in the next 20 years. Certainly, Mr. President would not be there, but his impact, and of course, would always
be felt. Yeah, just like, you know, in Lagos till today, they have a blueprint, a roadmap, and that is why you see Lagos, you know, developing, going from one strength to the other. Yeah. All right, so let's just go to our conversation for this morning. This reviewing the hunger Nigerian participation at the ONGA session. How would you describe it?
Well, first of all, I have to commend the Vice President because he read the President's speech. It was a President's speech that was delivered by the Vice President, and of all the presidents that read their speech, none was as engaging as that. I think we have to be proud of, in Nigeria, that we have people that can articulate themselves in the world stage, in the delivery of our the President's agenda at ONGA. The way that the Vice President did it was absolutely perfect. I think ONGA for us this year was still a hope to do the right network that was necessary for us to take this stringent and very courageous, visionary agenda that Mr. President has. For me, it was very fruitful.
Okay.
Like I said, it's a new ministry. Not only is it a new ministry, it is one that completely had to start from ground zero. We didn't have the necessary policy, the necessary legal regulatory framework that you need to really build a proper industry. If you're looking at, and I must say again, one thing that all of us have learnt from Mr. President is the importance of sustainability.
Okay.
For him, it's all about setting up a structure and a framework that is going to outlive him, that is going to outlive his administration. And you spoke about Lagos.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You go everywhere in Nigeria is beautiful, but you go to Lagos is a different experience altogether. And in most parts, whether anybody likes it or not, in most part, it has to do with this strategy and the vision that Mr. President had when he was in Lagos. So in ONGA, what I did was to reach out to all the necessary players that we felt we could partner on. My ministry came on and had an 8-point agenda. And part of that 8-point agenda was partnerships and collaborations. And we have learned that in order for something to have long-term sustainability, it's good to bring the private sector on, and it's good to also have collaboration. And, you know, again, my ministry is also looking at doing cultural diplomacy. So we used ONGA, which is the best platform for you to be able to do that. There are Nigerians all over the world, apart from the fact that you have black people. 1 out of every 8 person in the world is of Nigerian descent. So you have black people of Nigerian descent that are looking to Nigeria for their identity. But you also have Nigerians, Yoruba in Brazil, in Cuba, Hausa in Saudi Arabia, in the Middle East. You have Igbo people. They've never been to Nigeria. These are indigenous people, right? But they are of Yoruba, and there's still the culture, everything is there. So that cultural diplomacy is very important for us to do, because we will also want to use the industry, the cultural industry and the creative industry to do a repositioning of Nigeria. I don't know if you've seen one of the, we've already started, I am Nigerian. We have Nigeria everywhere. I did a poem recently.
Is that the spoken word?
Yeah, it's a spoken word.
Someone sent me a message. I was hoping to ask you.
Yeah.
He said, please ask her. She has a well-woven spoken word jingle on the Ministry of Creative Economy. It's magical. Does NTA have it?
Yes, NTA has it. I don't know whether NTA has shown it. So I think NTA needs to show it. It's important because it's also using, based on the directive that I had from Mr. President, to use this industry, to use this ministry to bring cooperation, understanding, unity, a sense of identity. He wants us to rebrand. He said rebrand. I say reposition Nigeria, because everybody is interested in our culture. They're interested in our creativity. So I used ONGA for that as well. We waited for the 1st of October to bring out that particular poem that you spoke of. Is a series. It's a 7-part series.
Okay.
The one that you've seen is part 1. Part 2 is going to be even more magical than part 1. Is the part 1, I Am Nigerian, speaks about Nigeria, who you are as a Nigerian. Part 2 is going to speak about the creative industry. It's going to be magical. Part 3 is about the cultural industry. Part 4 is about the ministry's agenda, using Nigeria, the culture, the creativity, and what we plan to do. Part 5 is about the history of Nigeria. Okay. Part 6 is about how the trajectory of the presidency of Nigeria. Part 7 is a pledge. It's all part of the conversation that we want to have. And it's a conversation that I had at the United Nations. And again, the partnerships that I've spoken about, we spoke to the Saudi Arabia, to UAE, to people that have interest in investing in the infrastructure.
That's what
of the creative industry.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, what are the products
from UNGA?
From yes, that you're projecting at UNGA.
Oh yes, the product that we projected at UNGA was let me talk about my ministry and then we talk about the wider conversation. From my ministry, what we projected was this agenda that we had. I spoke about the 8-point agenda and the different initiatives that we have. We have 8 agendas, then we have 14 main initiatives under each of those agendas, right? And in those initiatives as well, the creative industry has 49 subsectors. So when you talk about music, art, fashion, those are the popular ones, right?
Yeah.
But you have the henna, the weaving, the beading, the gaming, the animation. There is a whole lot of real estate, and I keep on saying real estate, under creative industry that has never been tapped, that is going to create a future for Nigeria. That's why it is ingenious that the president actually thought of creating this ministry to give the young people. So I projected this vision that we had. And if you saw the interest that we had from specific countries as to working with Nigeria to create this fantastic ecosystem, because they want to be part of the wave that Nigeria is having. They want to be part of the potential that is abound within this industry. So we were able to get a number of, we got traction, and now we are going to have partnership. Probably it's too early to announce some of the partnerships because, it's good to sign the MOUs first and to have the T's crossed and the I's dotted. But we were able to get traction, and we were able to get partnerships, and we were able to get funding from a number of countries and also a number of banking institutions who want to invest in the creative industry.
Wow.
Actually, I was going to ask, when are we going to start seeing the fruition of all these engagements?
I think the fruition is going to start possibly by next week or upper week. I think within the week. An announcement has been made by Afrexim I will wait till they did make the announcement, but I'll wait till the MOU is signed within the week before I make the official announcement. But Afrexim has committed quite a lot of money to the industry. Big Win, we have signed an MOU with Big Win, who are investing $2 million for job creation, because we are creating 2 million jobs by 2027 for the young creatives. So Big Win has already signed a MOU with us. In order for us to be able to do that, we have already launched CLAP, Creative Leap Acceleration Program, a couple of months ago, which is an online network for creatives. It's a one-stop shop for everything creative, for networking, for job creation opportunity, for capacity building, for training, for everything. Funding is all on CLAP. I think I asked people, we're going to do another relaunch of it, where you can join CLAP at clapnigeria.ng, and you will be able to get the network that you need as a creative. We are launching, I'm very proud to say, I think within the next week, we're going to announce IP. IP has been always foundational. The fact that the members in the industry don't have protection, IP protection, is actually a crying shame. And that's why I said we had to start from ground zero. So we have worked with stakeholders across the full spectrum. And we've worked with NESG, which we signed an MOU with to create policy. So IP policy is coming out within the next week. I worked with a number of ministries, trade and investment, and we're going to deliver that to Nigerians within the next week. Cultural policy is also going to be delivered as soon as IP is delivered. Again, we worked with NESG to deliver that. And I'm working with the Ministry of FCT. We're going to infrastructure. We don't have any infrastructure to support the industry, and which is why we spoke with the members of the Middle East who are interested in creating an ecosystem, free trade zones for the creative industry. And so we're creating an Abuja creative city, which is going to be, a convergence point for everything creative.
Abuja Creative City.
Abuja Creative City. We're creating museums with the FCT and all over Nigeria. And we're creating arenas, cinemas, we're creating domes, we're creating diversity. It's just so much.
Where will that be?
Okay, before she answers that,
I will allow the Ministry of FCT to announce that.
Okay, Minister, we'll just take a pause now. The director is signaling that we should take a break. When we come back, we'll talk more on this, and we'll bring Stanley in as well.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a break now. Good Morning Nigeria continues. Stay with us.
I think Amaka should just move out of the house. Yes.
No. Standing out of the house is not the right thing to do.
Oh, there you go again with your sentimental family stuff.
Baby, if our aim is to stop this affair, it is best achieved under our roof.
You do something terrible and you'll be acting innocent.
What are you going on about?
Don't ask me that question again. You couldn't even control yourself in the presence of our visitors.
What are you accusing me of, woman?
My son, I don't know how serious you are with my daughter, but there's something that needs to be done urgently before you move any further.
Anything, just anything, just say it. I'm ready to do anything.
There is a spell that needs to be removed.
A spell?
Family forever, the story of our lives.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Nigeria means a lot to me.
And Nigeria means peaceful cohesion.
My country.
We continue to pray, and then hopefully we will come to understand that unity of purpose, unity of living together.
Our ethnic beliefs and background and culture is our strength.
Ever since the amalgamation period of 1914 to date, about 109 years ago, the people of Nigeria live very peacefully with one another.
I think diversity helps a lot to enhance robust development in Nigeria.
All over the country, you have so many ethnic groups, over 250. That is enough to tell you that this is a blessed country, and that God has kept, together as one indivisible entity.
The race to qualify for the biggest football competition in Africa is on, the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. 48 teams in 12 groups, with only the top 2 teams in each group qualifying for the African Cup of Nations in 2025 in Morocco. Don't miss the action, suspense, and unrivaled coverage on Afro Sport TV and its affiliates partners across Nigeria, starting from September 2024 to November 2024. Afro Sport, your freedom of sport.
Thanks for staying with us. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. We're still reviewing the last hunger session in America, and we have our guests with us. The Honourable Minister, he's still here, but this time around, let's bring in Stanley now to talk about the most significant outcomes and commitments made during the 79th session.
Okay. So this year's hunger was themed "Leaving No One Behind," and it was one of the most successful hungers that we had in Africa. Mr. President gave a bite to some of the yearnings and aspirations of Africans. In his national statement, read by the Vice President, Mr. President was so direct. There were calls for immediate action on hunger, calls for debt cancellations, restructuring of financial world of financial architecture, calls for actions on insecurity, calls for climate change. It was totally holistic. The health challenges we faced, call for SDGs, implementations and targets. So it was totally a well-packaged speech. But one of the things that also struck me is the composition of Mr. President when he also spoke to the spirit and letter of the United Nations Security Council, in which Nigeria rightly, so to speak, demanded for a seat in the United Nations Permanent Security Council, a seat in the Permanent Council there. And that to me was phenomenal, because it was something that hitherto developing countries would shy away from. Nobody wanted to get there. But I think it's about time. We've gotten to that point.
Yeah.
Because let me just put it in context. The UN Security Council, for instance, is composed of 5 permanent members. All right, and then you also have the temporary council that has other countries that rotate it. And so the question is this: if you have 5 members, where you have a body that has 193 membership, and then you have 5 permanent members, I think time has come for us to rejig it, and that was what Mr. President to review it. So that at least you could have other countries come in and also have a say. And why is this necessary? It is necessary because the United Nations was established in 1945, okay? And and now, and as of today, it has 193 membership. And it's like when you have a community land, okay, those days, and then, like I did say somewhere else, you have a community land, for instance, and then you have 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5 persons who, as at then, were the most educated, okay, or the most vibrant, and then you leave this community land in their possession, and then all of a sudden, there's been a rapid explosion. People have gone to school. People have become more educated. The world has become more global. Okay? Is it fair for those 5 nations to continue to hold on to the hegemony of the United Nations? My humble opinion, as Mr. President did say, was that, look, it has come for time for us to totally rejig the United Nations Security Council, give voice more to persons. And it took the President of Nigeria to speak for Africans. And it did resonate across the world. It has definitely taken a different dimension now because there's more steam being added to it by Mr. President. And it's now being, you would say I told you, very soon it's going to be hooray for Africa. And then, of course, talking about who deserves it. I think there's no better country than Nigeria, given our commitments to United Nations programs and policies, to peacekeeping efforts, to our hegemony in ECOWAS. Yes, we're having challenges right now, but before now, no one can contest the fact that, look, Nigeria has been the sole country that has held on the hegemony of ECOWAS. Whether it's in Liberia, You know, the roles we've played in South Africa, for instance, during apartheid missions, world peacekeeping efforts. We've committed no less than 200,000 peacekeeping personnel to the United Nations over the years. And aside that, too, the kind of amounts and resources we've devoted to is phenomenal. Not talk of the lives we've lost too as a nation in trying to keep and ensure that there's world peace. So I think we rightly deserve it. And then, of course, too, if you take into cognizance too, our population, like I always say, can never be a weakness. There's no greater nation than ours. We have the strength, we have the capacity, we have the experience, we have the commitment, we have the loyalty and efforts being put in place. So I think we truly deserve it, okay? And then too, Mr. Vice President too was very, very phenomenal. You know, when he did understood the message of Mr. President. When he read the speech, he dissected it and, of course, knew the trust of Mr. President. So upon arrival, I remember we did land in New York at about 4 p.m. On a Sunday, and by 7 p.m., he had already gotten set for the very first meeting with the U.S. Chambers of Commerce, U.S. Chambers of Commerce. He landed 4 p.m., and by 7 p.m., he was straight onto the first meeting. And after he finished interacting with the U.S. Chambers of Commerce, for instance, that was when we got our own first positive cake coming out from the union, in which U.S. Chambers of Commerce contributed a whopping $320 million for Nigeria, for our health challenges, for our women empowerment, you know. And so it was a big win. And after that too, you had MasterCard coming in with empowerment of about 1 million Nigerians and Africans across board. We have one of the biggest maritime industries, the DP World, coming to invest in a brand new port in Nigeria. Met with the Vice President, and as I speak to you now, the paperwork are being put on. So you can imagine what it means to have another seaport in Nigeria. Talk about the infrastructure, talk about the job, you know. And then afterwards, he also met with the United Nations General Secretary, Guterres, and, you know, had frank discussions in which regional security, you know, support for victims of natural disasters, and a whole lot of other issues really topped the agenda for their discussion. We also had the meeting too with Commonwealth Secretary General and a host of others. You know, I don't think we've had it so good. And of course too, you had the role of other members of the delegation, like the Honorable Minister for Creative Arts, and did say her role. So for Nigeria, it was a stamping of an authoritative voice. For me, it was a stamping of Africa's new dawn. It was Mr. President took the bulls by the horn, spoke to the spirit and letter of the United Nations, and I think right now you couldn't see it, but you had immediately after the Vice President's speech, the Finland's president quickly called for a meeting and threw his weight behind the call for that United Nations Security Council rejigging. So you can see the power that Mr. President did with at that stage. So for us, it was a positive win, phenomenal, historical, and like I did just put up in the pen, it was just a tip of Mr. President's dexterity.
Okay, thank you very much. It was really phenomenal. Okay, Honorable Minister, let's look at what do you think will be the benefits that Nigeria will derive from this hunger?
I think there's a lot of benefits. Mr. Stanley spoke about, for example, DP World coming to build another port. We're also in discussion with DP World, who are interested in this creative city, some of the ecosystem free zones that we're creating. So, you know, there are a plethora of benefits in terms of the different partnerships and collaborations that we hope to forge with MasterCard talking to them about also job creation. You know, all the areas that we feel in Nigeria, we need some sort of renaissance, the economy, the infrastructure, the issue of job creation, the issue of security. you know, some of the things that Mrs. Tani has spoken about and the engagements that we had with people that we feel can collaborate with us to partner and to come up with programs that will be able to address and confront some of those challenges. I think it will be certainly reap a lot of benefits, and you'll see a lot of fruit come out of that. It was very interesting for me because it's the first time that I've gone in an official capacity, and to see everybody that was representative of their own sector, you know, the Minister of Digital Economy was doing a lot of work. He did a lot of work in terms of engagement with partnerships and collaboration with the AI, and to bring internet connectivity to all of Nigeria, every part of Nigeria. And the Minister of Trade and Investment also did a lot of work and engagement in how we can trade as a country. The Vice President was absolutely incessant in his own engagements.
Sure.
There was no sleep for him. I think he worked, like Mrs. Sani said, you landed at 4 by 7. I was in a number of meetings, and you know, he was what I found, and I learnt a lot from him as well. What I found very interesting and empowering was in every single meeting that we had with the Vice President, there was a discussion about the areas of interest, but he took it further. Okay, what are the actionable points? Now, where are we going to go from here? It is not just a discussion that we're having. He wanted results. And every single meeting that he went into, he did not come out until he got some commitment from results, because it was a situation for him where he wanted Nigeria to completely ensure that we made the best of the engagement. So, you know, I learned a lot from him. I'm not going to go into any meeting without coming out with some actionable results. You know, the Minister of Women Affairs also went into every single one of her meetings with she needed empowerment. She was very strong on the issue of empowerment, and she needed to come away with something. So I think in the next coming months, maybe a number of announcements that you're going to see from specifically the ministries and from the federal government that went on those engagements. You will see a number of announcements that have come out from the engagements. Obviously, it's slightly premature for me to say, you know, this announcement and that announcement, even though I know they're in the pipeline. But of course, the MOUs have to be signed, the T's have to be crossed, but there will be a number of announcements from the successes.
I don't know how I'm going to loop my questions. Let me just find a way of doing that, because we're almost running out of time. The first is the specific program, cultural programs you intend to use to drive the cultural diplomacy.
Yeah.
That's one. And then two, how do you intend to mainstream the diverse cultural, cultures we have for inclusion? Because it's a cultural diplomacy now. So, and, there's nowhere you have as much challenges as in the creative industry, challenges of energy, challenges of, so many issues. How are you going to deal with that?
That's an extremely loaded question. And if we had like 3 hours, I'd be able to dissect it all. But let me just try to summarize. So how are we going to, how the cultural diplomacy that you spoke of, that is key. I found out that there are over 1,000 festivals in Nigeria. And there's a lot of interest in those festivals. The Shango Festival, it's just absolutely astronomical. What we're doing, one of the things that we're doing is the major festivals, global festivals, Nigeria is going to participate in. The major events, in the next 2 weeks, we're going to be at Canex with the Afrexim Bank at Algiers, where Nigeria is going to show up and show out with a pavilion that Canex has never seen. And so things like that. At Davos earlier on in the year, we had a cultural night. Here at Ongar, we had Destination 2030 is our brand that we hope to leverage on the creative and cultural industry to reposition and rebrand Nigeria globally, right? So Destination 2030, and it's all part of that poem that the spoken word, the poem that you're going to be seeing on our networks. So we're going to engage in a number of festivals: China, Brazil, Cuba, Jamaica, Notting Hill, everywhere that there is a festival. We're going to make sure that Nigeria has a presence. We're signing agreements and MOUs with specific countries to have engagements. We're now working even beyond Africa. Afrexim has come up with an initiative called Global Africa Gateway that looks at bringing Africa together with the diaspora, with Barbados, Jamaica, St. Kitts, the black community of the world. That can only be done through the creative industry. So we're working with Afrexim to see we have that cultural diplomacy.
Okay. Yes, inclusion.
The inclusion.
Cultural inclusion.
For example, the Atamfa that you spoke about earlier on, the First Ladies Initiative is one. We're working on a number of programs. We're coming back with Nigeria's Got Talent. It's absolutely amazing all over the country. It's going to be global. Where
Nigeria's got
talent.
You know, we had that before.
And it's going to be from every part of the country. We are working on a number of television programs as well. We're working with, of course, you've got the National Theatre, the Wole Soyinka Theatre programs are going on there. We are also coming up with, our branding. The branding that we're doing is going to speak to different, the ways that we can weave Nigeria back together. We're working on a unity song, which I'm really excited about, that is going to bring artists from all over Nigeria together, something that people will identify with, right? We're working on also trying to bring the cinemas that I spoke about. The infrastructure is also key. Infrastructure, if you have cinemas in every single locality, as we had when we were kids. So it's coming back. It is coming back. So you'll be able to show different cultures. Museums. We're working on museums all over the place, where when you go into a museum, this creative city that I spoke about is going to be a representation of every single culture in Nigeria, every 49 subsectors, and then you have the culture. It's going to be, people are going to come into Nigeria just to go to that creative city and to go out, because everything Nigeria will be there. We're also working on, I mean, it's just so much that we're speaking to each other about. And the national anthem, we're working on something in the creative industry that will allow the younger people to also take ownership of the national anthem, something that will make us know that we are Nigerian. And I would love for you, again, I encourage everyone to watch the poem that I did, I Am Nigeria.
I don't know if we have it. I don't know if the producer has it now.
I hope they have it. So these are some of the things that we're working on. I tell you, by the end, we're going to finish very strong. And by the mid next year, you are going to be so proud to be not a Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, Shekiri, you're going to be proud to be a Nigerian. And the reason why you're going to be proud to be a Nigerian is because of the vision that Mr. President has had and what he has asked me to do in the creative industry.
Okay, thank you very much.
I think we should take the last,
let's
just in 60 seconds.
How do we now begin to leverage, our participation, in this hunger, to have access to resources? Okay.
We're almost there.
We're almost there.
Yes, just a minute.
Just round up. Let's just have.
We've established partnerships. We've established resolutions. Mr. President respects treaties. Mr. President respects resolutions.
Okay.
You could see that the space is being opened. There is now free openness to our markets. There's free entry into our businesses. The business environment is being opened up. The bureaucracy and the hitherto bottlenecks that characterize our business environment are being demolished right now by Mr. President. And you could see that, look, you have super world investors now creeping into the country. You know, so it's Nigeria is now being more widely respected now. You could see the folks who were running around Mr. Vice President trying to have a meeting with him. It didn't take anything for the U.S. Secretary General to open his office for Mr. Vice President. Same thing for the Commonwealth Secretary General, who came, you know, pleading for assistance from the Nigerian government. So ditto too for the Finnish president and a whole lot of other major stakeholders. Why do they do this? For the very first time in the history of our country, for a very long time, they see a president and they root through him. They see a government and they root through this government. That this government is a serious government, this government is a committed government, and that this government has the backing of its people. And with that, definitely, the skies are limit.
Well, thank you very much. This government is a serious government. This government is a government of the people, for the people. Thank you so much, Stanley, for your contribution this morning.
Thank you.
Stanley Nkwocha, right?
Let's you bring one cow without
Nkwocha. Okay, Stanley Nkwocha is the Senior Special Assistant to the President of Media and Communications Office of the Vice President. Thank you so much for coming.
Good job, you guys do.
And Honorable Minister, for the first time, this is your first time on Good Morning Nigeria.
No, we've been here before.
Oh, okay.
Several times.
Several times.
This is
Okay.
home.
Okay, maybe the first time I am going to have you. All right.
There's my sister.
Honorable Minister Barrister Alatu Musawa, Honorable Minister of Arts, Culture and Creative Economy. Thank you so much for coming on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you for having me. Thank
all
you.
right, so we hope to see all this your jingle rolled on NTA.
And I hope to be back again to talk, to dissect more about some of the initiatives that we're rolling out in the creative industry.
That would be lovely.
Yeah.
Well, that's Good Morning Nigeria. I'm Ademola Adio. Thanks for joining us and have a lovely day.
And I'm Claire Adelabu Abdurrazak. Bye-bye.